Human secret weapon for attracting alien beauties? Meet the Terran pug. The bustling alien metropolis of Phyloth Prime gleamed under twin azure suns, its towering spires of chrome and glass stretching towards the heavens. Amid the urban sprawl, a lush oasis of green spread out, Kalar Park, where exotic flora from 1,000 worlds mingled. It was here that Commander Damian Mackenzie found himself on a rare day of shore leave, strolling along a winding path with his faithful companion, Bowser, a stout little pug. The dog waddled happily at his side, tongue lolling, unfazed by the alien sights and sounds. Damian cut a striking figure in his sleek graphene armor, helmet clipped at his waist. At 6 feet 2 inches with a chiseled jaw and piercing blue eyes, he drew more than a few appreciative glances from passers-by, human and alien alike. But his attention was focused on Bowser, making sure the pug didn't wander off to investigate the exotic shrubbery. Suddenly, Bowser perked up, beady eyes locking on a figure seated on a bench up ahead. With an excited snort, he took off, waddling at top speed. Damian sighed and jogged after him. "Bowser, get back here, you little..." He trailed off as he caught sight of just who had captured the dog's interest. Seated on the bench was quite possibly the most stunning alien woman Damian had ever laid eyes on. Skin a pale, shimmering blue, she had long white hair that cascaded down her back in a silky ponytail. High cheekbones framed luminous sapphire eyes. Plush lips parted in surprise as Bowser trotted right up and planted his front paws on her knees. "Well, hello there," she laughed, voice musical. "Aren't you just the cutest little thing?" Bowser's butt wiggled as she scratched behind his ears, panting happily. Damian approached, rubbing the back of his neck sheepishly. "Sorry about that, ma'am. Bowser here gets a little overexcited sometimes meeting new people." She looked up at him and smiled, eyes twinkling. "Oh, it's no trouble at all. I adore animals, especially cute squishy ones like this fella." She ruffled Bowser's ears. Damian chuckled. "Well, he certainly seems to have taken a liking to you, Miss..." "Bria," she supplied. "Bria Phyloth. And you are..." "Commander Damian Mackenzie, United Terran Fleet." He extended a hand and she shook it, her skin cool and smooth. "A pleasure, Commander Mackenzie. Please, have a seat." She patted the bench next to her. It's not every day a girl gets approached by a dashing human soldier and his adorable sidekick. Damian grinned and sat down, Bowser hopping up to sprawl across both their laps shamelessly. "Trust me, the pleasure is all mine. It's rare to meet someone as stunning as you, who also appreciates the finer qualities of pugs." Bria laughed, trailing elegant blue fingers through Bowser's fur. "What can I say? I'm a female of discerning taste." Her eyes raked appreciatively over Damian's muscular form. In many areas, Damian felt a flush creep up his neck, but maintained a roguish smile. "Glad to hear it." As they chatted, Bowser's collar beeped, and Damian glanced at his HUD overlay, seeing an emoji of a heart pop up. He smirked. Looked like Bowser's empathic transmitter was picking up on the sparks flying between him and Bria. He reached down to pat the pug. "Looks like Bowser approves of you too." Bria raised a snowy brow. "Oh? And how can you tell?" Damian tapped the dog's collar. "Empathic transmitter. Lets me know what this cheeky little guy is feeling. And right now he's picking up on the rather potent chemistry between us." Bria leaned in closer, sapphire eyes smoldering. "Is that so? Well then, perhaps we should..." Suddenly, a concussive boom rocked the park, sending aliens screaming and running in all directions. Damian was on his feet in an instant, helmet sealing over his head as he scanned for threats. "Bria, stay behind me!" he barked, pulling her up and shielding her with his armored bulk. Charging into the clearing were a pack of snarling, bipedal, lizard-like aliens, brandishing wicked-looking plasma rifles. Horak marauders, infamous for raiding border settlements. "Hand over your valuables, and you may live, worms," the lead raider rasped in broken common. Damian's armor HUD highlighted weak points as his combat systems engaged. He smirked grimly beneath his helmet. These scaly bastards had picked the wrong park to raid. "Bria, get to cover. I'll handle this," he said calmly, reaching for the plasma rifle maglock to his back. Her eyes were wide but determined as she nodded, scooping up Bowser and ducking behind a thick tree trunk. The pug yipped in concern, but she shushed him. Damian strode out to face the dozen raiders, rifle humming as it charged up. I'm going to give you overgrown lizards one chance to slither back to whatever dank hole you crawled out of. The Horek leader snarled, baring razor fangs. Insolent human, you dare threaten us? Your bones will decorate my armor. Wrong answer, Damien growled and squeezed the trigger. Searing bolts of blue-white plasma streaked out, stitching a line of scorched craters across the raiders' breastplates. The leader howled in pain and outrage, returning fire wildly. Damien rolled and came up in a crouch, picking off the marauders with precise headshots as his armor shrugged off their return fire. In seconds it was over. A dozen scaly corpses sprawled on the grass. Bria peeked out from behind the tree and gasped at the carnage. Bowser wriggled out of her arms and waddled over to Damien, giving a concerned little boof. Damien scooped up the pug and gave him a reassuring pat as Bria approached cautiously, eyes wide. That was amazing, she breathed. I've never seen anyone fight like that. Damien retracted his helmet and flashed her a grin, adrenaline still singing. All in a day's work for a Terran ranger, ma'am. She placed a hand on his armored chest, feeling the thrum of power. My hero, she purred, leaning in close. Bowser gave an approving snort from his perch in Damien's arms as the ranger and the lovely alien leaned in, lips nearly brushing. Suddenly, the wail of police sirens split the air. Damien sighed and pulled back reluctantly. I should probably go make a statement. Alien cops tend to get a bit prickly about humans shooting up their parks. Bria nodded, looking disappointed but understanding. Will I see you again? Damien set Bowser down and took her hand, brushing a kiss across her cool blue knuckles. Count on it. Dinner tomorrow night? I know a great Terran Phylothian fusion place. She smiled, a flash of perfect white teeth. It's a date. With a final wink, Damien sauntered off towards the approaching police cruisers, Bowser waddling along at his heels. Bria watched him go, heart fluttering in her chest. Who would have thought a simple trip to the park would lead to a date with a dashing alien soldier? She had a feeling her life was about to get a lot more exciting. The next evening, Damien arrived at the Terran Phylothian fusion restaurant, Bowser trotting happily by his side. He had traded his armor for a sleek black suit that accentuated his muscular frame, drawing appreciative glances from the other patrons. Bria was already waiting at their table, looking radiant in a shimmering blue dress that hugged her curves. She smiled warmly as Damien approached, Bowser waddling up to her for ear scratches. I hope you don't mind that I brought this little guy along, Damien grinned, sliding into his seat. He insisted on being a part of our first official date. Bria laughed, her eyes sparkling. Of course not. Bowser's always welcome. She leaned down to plant a kiss on the pug's wrinkled head, earning a happy snort. As they perused the menu, Damien couldn't help but admire the way the candlelight played off Bria's luminous skin. I have to say, you look stunning tonight. A faint purple blush colored her cheeks. Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself, Commander. Their conversation flowed easily as they sampled dishes from both their worlds, Bowser occasionally sneaking tidbits from their plates. Damien found himself captivated by Bria's quick wit and infectious laughter, while she was drawn to his charming mix of confidence and humility. As the evening wore on, Bowser's collar began to emit a soft, pulsing glow. Damien glanced at his wristcom, a slow smile spreading across his face. What is it? Bria asked, curious. Bowser's empathic transmitter, Damien explained, reaching down to pat the pug. It seems he's picking up on some pretty strong emotions right now. Bria raised a brow, a playful smirk tugging at her lips. Oh? And what might those be? Damien leaned in closer, his voice low and intimate. Affection, attraction, and a whole lot of excitement for where this night might lead. Her eyes darkened, a shiver running down her spine at his proximity. Well then, she murmured, perhaps we should listen to Bowser's intuition and see where it takes us. Their lips met in a soft, tender kiss, the rest of the world fading away as they lost themselves in the moment. Bowser watched from beneath the table, his tail wagging contentedly. It seemed his job as the ultimate wingman was far from over. As the kiss deepened, Damien marveled at the softness of Bria's lips and the faint floral scent of her hair. When they finally parted, both were slightly breathless, eyes shining with unspoken desire. Wow, Damien murmured, reaching up to brush a stray lock of hair from her cheek. That was incredible, Bria finished, leaning into his touch. I've never felt such a strong connection with someone before. let alone someone from another species. Damien nodded, his heart racing. I know what you mean. It's like there's this undeniable pull between us. Something I can't quite explain. Bowser chose that moment to let out a soft whine, pawing at Damien's leg. The ranger chuckled, scooping up the pug and setting him on his lap. Looks like someone's feeling a little left out. Bria grinned, reaching over to scratch behind Bowser's ears. Aw, we could never forget about you, little guy. In fact, I think you might be our secret weapon in making this whole interspecies romance thing work. Damien raised a brow, intrigued. How so? Well, think about it, Bria mused. Bowser's empathic transmitter allows him to pick up on and share our emotions, right? That could be invaluable in helping us navigate the inevitable misunderstandings and cultural differences that come with dating someone from another world. Damien considered this, absently stroking Bowser's fur. You know, you might be onto something there. Having an impartial third party to clue us in when we're not on the same wavelength could save us a lot of headaches down the road. Bria nodded, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Exactly. And who better for the job than this adorable little matchmaker? She booped Bowser gently on the nose, earning a happy snort. Damien grinned, feeling a surge of affection for both the amazing woman before him and the loyal pug in his lap. Bowser, my friend, I think you just got yourself a promotion. How does Chief Interspecies Relations Officer sound? Bowser yipped approvingly, his butt wiggling with joy. Bria laughed, the sound like music to Damien's ears. As the evening wore on, the trio chatted and laughed, sharing stories of their lives and dreams. Damien regaled Bria with tales of his adventures as a Terran ranger, while she opened up about her work as a xenobotanist, studying and cultivating rare plant species from across the galaxy. They discovered a shared love of exploration and a thirst for new experiences, both eager to learn more about each other's worlds. Bowser chimed in occasionally with a well-timed emoji from his transmitter, lightening the mood and keeping them attuned to each other's feelings. By the time they finished their meal and stepped out into the cool night air, Damien and Bria were walking hand in hand, Bowser trotting contentedly beside them. They strolled through the park where they'd first met, marveling at the bioluminescent blooms that cast a soft glow along the path. I have to admit, Bria said softly, leaning her head on Damien's shoulder, I was a little nervous about tonight. I've never dated outside my species before, and I wasn't sure what to expect. Damien squeezed her hand reassuringly. I know what you mean. Venturing into the unknown can be scary, especially when feelings are involved. But being with you feels so right. Like this is exactly where I'm meant to be. She looked up at him, her eyes shining with emotion. I feel the same way, Damien. Like the universe brought us together for a reason, and with Bowser to guide us, I think we can handle whatever challenges come our way. As if on cue, Bowser's transmitter pulsed with a soft, steady glow, a visual representation of the love and contentment surrounding them. Damien and Bria shared a smile, their hearts full. They paused beneath a towering tree with shimmering silver leaves, its branches swaying gently in the breeze. Damien turned to face Bria, cupping her cheek tenderly. Bria Phyloth, meeting you has been the most incredible, life-altering experience of my life. I know we come from different worlds, but I'm willing to put in the work to build something amazing together. If you are. Tears glistened in Bria's eyes as she nodded, her voice thick with emotion. Damien Mackenzie, nothing would make me happier than embarking on this journey with you, wherever it may lead. With you by my side and Bowser as our faithful guide, I feel like anything is possible. They sealed their declaration with a kiss, deep and passionate, pouring all their hopes and dreams into the embrace. Bowser circled their feet, his transmitter glowing brighter than ever, a testament to the incredible bond forming between the human soldier, the alien beauty, and the pug who brought them together. As they parted, breathless and giddy, Damien scooped up Bowser and held him between them. Well, buddy, looks like you've got your work cut out for you, keeping us on track. Bowser licked their faces, his eyes shining with doggy delight. Bria laughed, scratching his chin. I think he's more than up for the challenge. Hand in hand, the trio made their way back to Damien's quarters, ready to embark on the greatest adventure of their lives, the adventure of falling in love across the stars, with a little help from a very special pug. The blissful weeks that followed were a whirlwind of laughter, passion, and discovery as Damien and Bria's relationship blossomed. They spent every spare moment together, exploring the wonders of Phyloth Prime and learning about each other's worlds. Bowser was a constant companion, his empathic transmitter helping them navigate the inevitable misunderstandings and cultural differences that arose. When Damien accidentally offended Bria with a human idiom, Bowser's collar pulsed with a soft, warning glow, prompting him to apologize and ask for clarification. When Bria's enthusiasm for her latest botanical discovery left Damien feeling a bit overwhelmed, Bowser's gentle nudge and wagging tail reminded her to slow down and explain things in terms he could understand. With the pug's help, they grew more attuned to each other's needs and feelings, their bond deepening with each passing day. Damien marveled at Bria's brilliant mind and compassionate heart, while she was drawn to his bravery, integrity, and unwavering loyalty. They spent long hours talking about their hopes and dreams, sharing stories of their past, and making plans for the future. Damien opened up about his childhood on Earth, the loss of his parents, and his drive to make a difference in the galaxy. Bria shared her fascination with the intricate web of life that connected all beings, her desire to use her research to foster understanding and cooperation between species. Through it all, Bowser was there, a constant source of comfort and joy. His playful antics and unconditional love brought light to even the darkest moments, reminding them of the simple, precious things that made life worth living. One evening, as they lay entwined in Damien's bed, Bria traced the scars that crisscrossed his chest, her touch gentle and reverent. "I wish I could take away all the pain you've endured," she whispered, pressing a soft kiss over his heart. Damien smiled, running his fingers through her silky hair. "Every scar, every hardship has led me to this moment, to you. I wouldn't change a thing." Bria's eyes shimmered with emotion as she leaned in, capturing his lips in a tender kiss. "I love you, Damien Mackenzie, more than I ever thought possible." "I love you too, Bria Kyloth, with every fiber of my being." They made love slowly, reverently, pouring all the depth of their feelings into each touch, each whispered endearment. The universe faded away until there was nothing but the two of them, lost in a symphony of sensation and emotion. Afterward, they lay in contented silence, Bria's head pillowed on Damien's chest, listening to the steady thrum of his heartbeat. Bowser snored softly at their feet, his transmitter glowing with a warm, soothing light. It was a moment of perfect peace and happiness, a memory to cherish forever. But like all things, it was not meant to last. The next morning, Damien received an urgent summons from Terran Command. A rogue faction of Horok raiders had launched a series of brutal attacks on human colonies along the border, leaving a trail of destruction and death in their wake. As one of the most skilled and experienced rangers in the fleet, Damien was being called upon to lead a dangerous mission to track down and eliminate the threat. Bria's heart clenched with fear as she watched him suit up, his expression grim and determined. "I don't want you to go," she whispered, blinking back tears. "I have a terrible feeling about this." Damien pulled her into his arms, holding her close. "I know, my love, but I have a duty to protect our people, to keep the peace we've worked so hard to build. I'll be back before you know it, I promise." She clung to him, memorizing the feel of his strong arms around her, the scent of his skin. "You'd better, Damien Mackenzie, or I'll come after you myself," he chuckled, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "I don't doubt it for a second." Bowser whined softly, sensing their distress. Damien knelt down, scratching the pug behind the ears. "Take care of her for me, buddy. Keep her safe until I get back." Bowser licked his face, his transmitter pulsing with a solemn, determined glow. Damien smiled, knowing he could count on the loyal little dog to watch over the woman he loved. With one last lingering kiss, Damien stepped back, his eyes never leaving Bria's. "I love you, always." "I love you too. Come back to me." And then he was gone, striding out the door and into the unknown, leaving Bria to pray to every deity she knew for his safe return. The days that followed were a blur of worry and fear for Bria. She threw herself into her work, spending long hours in the lab, trying to distract herself from the gnawing anxiety that consumed her thoughts. Bowser was a constant presence at her side, his empathic transmitter attuned to her every mood. When the worry became too much to bear, she would bury her face in the pug's soft fur, letting his steady heartbeat and unconditional love soothe her frayed nerves. "He'll be okay, won't he, Bowser?" she would whisper, her voice trembling. "He has to be." Bowser would nuzzle her cheek, his transmitter glowing with a warm, comforting light, as if to say, "Of course he will." He's Damien Mackenzie, the bravest, most stubborn human in the galaxy. He'll always come back to us. At night, Bria would lie awake in their bed, clutching Damien's pillow to her chest, breathing in his fading scent. She would reach out with her mind, trying to sense him across the vast distances of space, to send him her love and strength. Sometimes, in the deepest hours of the night, she swore she could feel him reaching back, his presence a soft, reassuring whisper in her soul. It was during one of these long, lonely nights that the news came. Bria was startled awake by an insistent beeping from her comm unit, her heart racing with a sickening mix of hope and dread. With shaking hands, she activated the device, Bowser whining anxiously at her feet. The holographic image of a stern-faced Terran officer flickered to life, his expression grim. "Ms. Phyloth, I regret to inform you that Commander Mackenzie's ship was ambushed by Horror forces in the Keldari system. They managed to complete their mission and eliminate the raider base, but sustained heavy damage in the process." Bria's blood ran cold, her vision blurring with tears. "Is he?" "Commander Mackenzie was gravely injured in the attack," the officer continued, his voice softening. "He's being transported to the medical facility on Phyloth Prime as we speak. His condition is critical, but stable." A choked sob escaped Bria's lips, her knees buckling beneath her. Bowser pressed close, his transmitter pulsing with a soft, mournful glow. "I'll be there as soon as I can," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Please keep him safe until I arrive." The officer nodded, his eyes filled with sympathy. "We'll do everything in our power, Ms. Phyloth. Commander Mackenzie is a hero, and we take care of our own." The hologram flickered out, leaving Bria alone in the darkness, her heart shattered into a million pieces. She gathered Bowser into her arms, burying her face in his fur as sobs racked her body. The pug whimpered softly, his own little heart breaking for the pain his beloved humans were enduring. "We have to be strong, Bowser," Bria whispered, her voice raw with emotion. "Damien needs us now more than ever. We'll bring him back from the brink, you and I. We'll show him the power of our love." With a newfound sense of determination, Bria rose to her feet, Bowser cradled against her chest. She quickly packed a bag with a few essentials and set off for the medical facility, her heart pounding with a fierce, unwavering hope. She would not lose Damien, not now, not ever. They had fought too hard, loved too deeply, to be torn apart by the cruelties of the universe. With Bowser by her side, she would pour every ounce of her strength and devotion into healing the man who had become her heart, her home. As they raced through the night, Bria sent out a silent prayer to the stars, a vow whispered on the wind. "Hold on, my love. We're coming for you. And when you wake, when you open your eyes and see us there, waiting for you, you'll know that nothing in this galaxy can ever truly tear us apart. Our love is stronger than any force, any darkness. It will guide you back to us, always." Bowser's transmitter glowed with a fierce, unwavering light, a beacon of hope in the darkness, a promise of the unbreakable bond that would carry them through whatever trials lay ahead. Together, the woman and the pug who loved a brave, stubborn human more than life itself sped towards an uncertain future, their hearts united in a single, unshakable truth. Love would light the way. The sterile white walls of the medical facility seemed to close in on Bria as she sat by Damien's bedside, her hand clasped tightly around his limp, unresponsive fingers. The steady beep of the monitoring equipment was the only sound in the room, a constant reminder of the fragile thread by which his life hung. Bowser lay curled at her feet, his usually playful face somber and worried. His empathic transmitter glowed with a soft, pulsing light, a visual representation of the hope and love that sustained them through the long, difficult hours. Damien looked so pale, so still, his handsome features marred by the cuts and bruises that littered his skin. The doctors had done their best to repair the damage, but the extent of his injuries was severe. They warned Bria that even if he did wake up, there was a chance he might never fully recover. But Bria refused to give up hope. She knew Damien, knew the strength and stubborn determination that burned within him. He was a fighter, a survivor. He would come back to her, to them. He had to. So she sat by his side day after day, talking to him, reading to him, sharing stories of their life together. She told him about the latest developments in her research, the funny things Bowser had done, the plans she was making for their future. "You have to wake up, Damien," she would whisper, her voice thick with tears. "We have so much left to do, so many adventures to share. I can't imagine my life without you in it. Please come back to me." Bowser would whine softly, his transmitter glowing with a warm, comforting light. He seemed to understand the importance of their vigil, the need to surround Damien with love and positive energy. As the days turned into weeks, Bria began to notice small changes in Damien's condition. His vital signs were growing stronger, more stable. The doctors were cautiously optimistic, but warned that he still had a long road ahead of him. Bria refused to be discouraged. She redoubled her efforts, spending every waking moment by Damien's side. She massaged his muscles to prevent atrophy, read him his favorite books, played the music he loved. And through it all, Bowser was there, his empathic transmitter a constant source of comfort and support. One evening, as Bria sat holding Damien's hand, she felt a sudden, almost imperceptible twitch in his fingers. Her heart leapt into her throat, her eyes widening with hope. "Damien," she whispered, scarcely daring to breathe. "Can you hear me, my love?" For a long, agonizing moment, there was nothing. Then slowly, miraculously, Damien's eyelids began to flutter, his lips parting in a soft, barely audible groan. Bria let out a choked sob, tears of joy streaming down her face. "That's it, Damien. Come back to us. We're here, Bowser and I. We're waiting for you." Bowser stood up on his hind legs, his front paws resting on the edge of the bed. His transmitter was glowing brighter than ever, pulsing with an almost tangible wave of love and encouragement. Slowly, painfully, Damien's eyes blinked open, his gaze unfocused and confused. He stared up at the ceiling for a long moment, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Bria," he croaked, his voice hoarse from disuse. "Bowser?" Bria let out a watery laugh, pressing a fervent kiss to his knuckles. "Yes, my love. It's us. You're safe now. You're going to be okay." Bowser yipped happily, his tail wagging so hard his entire body shook. He nuzzled Damien's hand, his transmitter glowing with pure, unbridled joy. Damien managed a weak smile, his fingers curling around Bria's. "I heard you," he whispered, his eyes shining with emotion. "Every word, every story. You brought me back, both of you. Your love guided me home." Bria leaned down, pressing her forehead against his. "Always," she murmured, her voice thick with tears. "We'll always be here to guide you back, no matter how lost you become." Bowser wriggled his way onto the bed, curling up against Damien's side with a contented sigh. His transmitter pulsed with a soft, soothing light, a tangible reminder of the unbreakable bond they shared. In that moment, as Bria held the two most precious beings in her universe close, she knew that they could face anything, overcome any obstacle, as long as they had each other. The road to recovery was long and difficult, filled with setbacks and challenges that tested their resolve. Damien had to relearn how to walk, how to feed himself, how to perform even the most basic tasks. There were days when the pain and frustration became almost too much to bear, when he would lash out in anger and despair. But through it all, Bria and Bowser were there, unwavering in their love and support. Bria worked tirelessly to help Damien regain his strength, guiding him through physical therapy exercises and cheering him on every step of the way. Bowser was a constant source of comfort and motivation, his empathic transmitter attuned to Damien's every mood. When Damien would become discouraged, Bowser would nuzzle his hand, his transmitter glowing with a soft, reassuring light. It was as if the pug was saying, "You can do this, Damien. We believe in you. We love you." And slowly, day by day, Damien began to improve. He took his first shaky steps, his hand gripped tightly in Bria's. He managed to feed himself a full meal, Bowser watching with proud, adoring eyes. He even began to crack jokes again, his dry, sarcastic humor a welcome sign of his returning spirit. Through it all, Bria and Bowser were his anchors, his guiding lights. They celebrated every victory, no matter how small, and held him close through every setback. Their love was a tangible force, a warmth that enveloped him and gave him the strength to keep fighting. As Damien grew stronger, so too did their bond. The trials they had faced, the pain they had endured, only served to deepen their connection, to forge their love into something unbreakable. They talked for hours, sharing their hopes and fears, their dreams for the future. Damien opened up about the nightmares that plagued him, the guilt he felt over the lives he hadn't been able to save. Bria held him close, whispering words of comfort and understanding, reminding him of the countless lives he had touched, the difference he had made. Bowser was a constant presence, his empathic transmitter, a soothing balm on their wounded souls. He seemed to know just when they needed a moment of levity, a reminder of the simple joys in life. He would bring them his favorite toy, his eyes shining with mischief, or curl up between them on the bed, his soft snores a lullaby that lulled them to sleep. As the weeks turned into months, Damien's recovery progressed in leaps and bounds. He graduated from physical therapy, his body strong and resilient once more. He began to take on new projects, his brilliant mind eager to tackle the challenges of peacekeeping and diplomacy. And through it all, Bria was by his side, her love and support unwavering. They had faced the unimaginable, had stared death in the face, and emerged stronger, more united than ever. One evening, as they sat together in the garden of their new home, Bowser curled up at their feet. Damien turned to Bria, his eyes shining with emotion. "I never could have done this without you," he murmured, his voice thick with gratitude. "You and Bowser, you saved me. Not just my life, but my soul. You showed me the true meaning of love, of family." Bria smiled, her heart so full it felt like it might burst. "We're a team, Damien. Always have been, always will be. You, me, and Bowser, we can face anything as long as we have each other." Bowser yipped in agreement, his transmitter glowing with a warm, contented light. Damien chuckled, reaching down to scratch the pug behind the ears. Who would have thought that a little dog from Earth would be the key to bringing two worlds together? To helping me find the love of my life? Bria leaned her head on his shoulder, her eyes soft with affection. The universe works in mysterious ways, but I'm so grateful it brought us together, all three of us. As they sat there, watching the stars come out one by one, Damien knew that he had found his true home, his true purpose. With Bria and Bowser by his side, he could face whatever challenges the future might bring, secure in the knowledge that their love would always light the way. And in that moment, he knew that he was the luckiest man in the universe, blessed with a love that transcended species, that transcended the very stars themselves. A love that would endure always. "Can you believe we're finally doing this?" Bria asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement as she and Damien stepped off the transport ship, Bowser trotting happily beside them. "A real vacation, just the three of us." Damien grinned, squeezing her hand. "It's about time, don't you think? After everything we've been through, we deserve a little R&R." Bowser yipped in agreement, his tail wagging furiously as he took in the sights and smells of the tropical paradise that would be their home for the next 2 weeks. The planet was a remote, unspoiled gem on the edge of the Phylothian system, a place of crystal-clear waters, pristine beaches, and lush, verdant forests. It was a world untouched by the ravages of war, a sanctuary where they could forget their troubles and simply be together. As they made their way to the villa they had rented, Damien couldn't help but marvel at the beauty that surrounded them. The air was warm and sweet, scented with the fragrance of exotic flowers and ripe fruit. The sky was a deep, endless blue dotted with fluffy white clouds that drifted lazily across the horizon. And the ocean? The ocean was a shimmering expanse of turquoise and emerald, so clear and inviting that it seemed to beckon them forward. "It's incredible," he murmured, his voice hushed with awe. "I've never seen anything like it." Bria nodded, her own eyes wide with wonder. "It's like something out of a dream. I can't believe we get to spend 2 whole weeks here, just the three of us." Bowser, as if sensing their excitement, let out a happy bark and took off running toward the water, his little legs churning up sand as he went. Damien laughed, shaking his head. "Looks like someone's ready to start their vacation." They spent the first few days simply enjoying each other's company, basking in the simple pleasures of life that they had missed for so long. They walked hand in hand along the beach, the warm sand squishing between their toes, the salty breeze ruffling their hair. They swam in the crystal-clear waters, marveling at the colorful fish and coral that surrounded them. And everywhere they went, Bowser was right there with them, his little legs working overtime to keep up with his humans. He chased crabs along the shoreline, barked at the waves, and rolled in the sand until his fur was caked with it. "I never realized how much I needed this," Bria confessed one evening as they sat on the porch of their villa, watching the sun sink into the ocean. Just time away from everything. Time to reconnect with what really matters. Damien nodded, pulling her close. "I know what you mean. It's like we've been so focused on saving the galaxy, on being heroes, that we forgot how to just be us." Bria sighed, leaning her head on his shoulder. I don't ever want to forget again. I want to hold on to this feeling, this moment, forever. Bowser curled up at their feet, let out a contented sigh, his transmitter glowing with a warm, peaceful light. A few days into their trip, they decided to visit the local market, a bustling, colorful place filled with exotic sights, sounds, and smells. As they wandered among the stalls, admiring the handcrafted goods and sampling the delicious local cuisine, Bowser's adorable antics began to attract attention. Oh my goodness, look at that little face! A group of children giggled, surrounding the pug and showering him with pets and treats. Bowser basked in the attention, his transmitter glowing with a happy, playful light. He's quite the charmer, isn't he? Bria chuckled, watching the scene with amusement. Damien grinned, nodding. He sure is. I think he's going to be the most popular guy on the planet by the time we leave. But it wasn't just the children who were drawn to Bowser. As they made their way through the market, Damien and Bria began to notice that the pug was attracting the attention of a different kind of admirer. Well, hello there! A stunning alien woman with shimmering golden skin and piercing violet eyes purred, sauntering up to them with her gaze fixed on Damien. I don't think I've ever seen a creature quite like this before, or a man quite like you, for that matter. Damien felt his cheeks heat up, a nervous laugh escaping his lips. Oh, this is Bowser. He's a pug from Earth, and I'm Damien, a Terran ranger. The woman's eyes lit up, her full lips curving into a seductive smile. A Terran ranger? How fascinating. You must have so many stories to tell, so many adventures to share. Bria, watching the exchange with a growing sense of unease, stepped forward and linked her arm through Damien's. Yes, he does. Adventures that we've shared together as a couple. The woman barely spared her a glance, her attention still focused on Damien. I would love to hear all about them. Perhaps over a drink? I know a lovely little place not far from here. Damien, feeling increasingly uncomfortable, shook his head. Thank you, but I'm afraid we have plans. My girlfriend and I were just about to head back to our villa. The woman pouted, her eyes flashing with disappointment. Are you sure? I promise I can make it worth your while. Bria, her patience wearing thin, opened her mouth to deliver a scathing retort, but Bowser beat her to it. The pug, sensing the tension in the air, let out a sharp bark and planted himself firmly between Damien and the woman, his transmitter glowing with a protective, warning light. The woman, startled by the sudden outburst, took a step back. Oh my, it seems your little friend is quite protective of you. Damien, seizing the opportunity, scooped Bowser up into his arms and gave the woman a polite but firm nod. He is, and so am I. If you'll excuse us, we really must be going. With that, he turned and strode away, Bria close on his heels. As they made their way back to the villa, Damien couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. That was uncomfortable, he muttered, shaking his head. I'm sorry, Bria. I didn't mean to encourage her or anything. Bria, her earlier jealousy fading in the face of Damien's obvious discomfort, reached out and took his hand. I know you didn't, Damien. It's not your fault that you're irresistible to women across the galaxy. Damien snorted, rolling his eyes. Irresistible? Hardly. I think it's more that Bowser is irresistible, and I'm just the guy lucky enough to be holding his leash. Bria laughed, leaning in to press a kiss to his cheek. Well, lucky for you, I find both of you irresistible, and I'm the only one who gets to take you home at the end of the day. Damien grinned, pulling her close. Damn straight. You're the only woman in the universe for me, Bria Phyloth, and I wouldn't have it any other way. As they sat on the porch that evening, watching the stars come out one by one, Damien couldn't help but marvel at the incredible turn his life had taken. Just a few short years ago, he had been a lonely soldier, his only companion a loyal pug named Bowser. But now he had everything he could ever want, a woman he loved more than life itself, a faithful friend by his side, and a future filled with endless possibilities. I love you, he murmured, pressing a kiss to Bria's temple. More than anything in this galaxy or any other. Bria smiled, her eyes shining with the same love and devotion that filled his own heart. I love you too, Damien, forever and always. Bowser, curled up at their feet, let out a contented sigh, his transmitter glowing with a warm, peaceful light. And in that moment, they knew that no matter what the future might bring, they would face it together, united by a bond that was stronger than anything in the universe. A bond of love, of family, and of the unbreakable ties that bind hearts together, across space and time, in the very fabric of the cosmos itself. The sun was just beginning to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in a breathtaking array of pinks, oranges, and purples, as Damien and Bria walked hand in hand along the beach. The sand was soft and warm beneath their feet, the gentle crash of the waves a soothing melody in their ears. Bowser trotted ahead of them, his little legs kicking up sand as he chased the seagulls that dared to land too close. His transmitter glowed with a bright, happy light, reflecting the joy and contentment that radiated from his humans. Damien, his heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and nerves, couldn't help but marvel at the perfect beauty of the moment. The setting sun, the gentle breeze, the woman he loved by his side. It was as if the universe itself had conspired to create the ideal backdrop for what he was about to do. "Bria," he said softly, drawing her to a stop, "there's something I need to ask you." Bria, her eyes sparkling with curiosity, tilted her head. "What is it, Damien?" Damien took a deep breath, his hand reaching into his pocket to close around the small velvet box hidden there. "Bria, from the moment I met you, my life changed in ways I never could have imagined. You brought light into my world, showed me the true meaning of love and companionship. You stood by me through the darkest of times and celebrated with me in the brightest of moments." Bria, her eyes widening with realization, felt her heart begin to race. "Damien," his voice thick with emotion, continued, "I can't imagine my life without you, Bria. I don't want to. I want to spend every day of the rest of my life by your side, facing whatever challenges the universe might throw our way, together." With that, he sank down to one knee, pulling the small box from his pocket and opening it to reveal a stunning ring. The band was a delicate, intricately woven braid of gold and silver, symbolizing the intertwining of their two worlds. The stone was a brilliant, shimmering blue, the exact shade of Bria's eyes, set in a starburst pattern that seemed to glow with an inner light. "Bria Phyloth," Damien said, his voice trembling with emotion. "Will you marry me?" Bria, tears streaming down her face, nodded frantically. "Yes," she whispered, her voice choked with joy. "Yes, Damien, 1,000 times yes." Damien, his own eyes shining with tears, slipped the ring onto her finger and surged to his feet, pulling her into a passionate kiss. They clung to each other, lost in the perfect moment of love and commitment, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the stars began to twinkle in the sky above. Bowser, sensing the overwhelming joy and love radiating from his humans, let out a happy bark and began to dance around their feet, his transmitter glowing brighter than ever before. As they finally broke apart, breathless and giddy, Damien couldn't help but laugh. "Looks like Bowser approves," he said, reaching down to scoop up the wiggling pug. Bria, her smile brighter than the stars above, leaned in to press a kiss to Bowser's furry head. "Of course he does. He's been rooting for us from the very beginning, haven't you, boy?" Bowser yipped in agreement, his tail wagging so hard his entire body shook. That night, as they celebrated their engagement with a romantic candlelit dinner on the beach, Damien and Bria couldn't stop smiling. They fed each other bites of succulent seafood and sipped on sparkling wine. Their eyes locked on each other as they talked and laughed and dreamed about their future together. Bowser, not to be left out, performed an adorable ring-bearer routine, prancing around the table with a small pillow strapped to his back, the rings Damien and Bria had bought for each other, nestled safely in the center. "I can't believe this is really happening," Bria murmured, her eyes shining with happiness as she admired the ring on her finger. "I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and find out it was all a dream." Damien, his heart so full it felt like it might burst, reached out to take her hand. "It's not a dream, Bria. It's real and it's forever. You and me together for the rest of our lives." Bria, her smile soft and tender, leaned in to kiss him. "I like the sound of that. Forever." As the night wore on and the stars twinkled brightly above, Damien and Bria found themselves lost in each other, their bodies and souls intertwined in a dance as old as time itself. They moved together, skin against skin, heart against heart, the rest of the world fading away until there was nothing but the two of them, lost in a moment of perfect love and unity. And when they finally lay spent and sated in each other's arms, Bowser curled up at their feet, they knew that they had found something rare and precious, something that would last a lifetime and beyond. The rest of their vacation passed in a blur of love and laughter, of sunny days spent exploring the beauty of the planet and nights spent wrapped in each other's arms. They swam in crystal-clear waters, hiked through lush, verdant forests, and danced under the stars to the beat of alien drums. And through it all, Bowser was right there with them, his transmitter glowing with a steady, contented light, a constant reminder of the love and joy that surrounded them. When it was finally time to return home, Damien and Bria found themselves feeling a bittersweet mixture of sadness and excitement. They were sad to leave the paradise they had found together, but excited to start the next chapter of their lives, to begin planning their wedding and their future. As they boarded the transport ship, hand in hand, Bowser trotting happily beside them, they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, united by a love that was stronger than anything in the universe. And as the ship lifted off, carrying them back to the stars and the life they had built together, Damien and Bria couldn't help but marvel at the incredible journey that had brought them to this moment. A journey that had started with a chance encounter in a park, with a brave soldier and a brilliant scientist, with a loyal pug and a love that defied the odds. A journey that had led them across the stars, through danger and darkness, through joy and sorrow, to a bond that could never be broken. A journey that had taught them the true meaning of love, of family, of the unbreakable ties that bind hearts together across space and time and the very fabric of the cosmos itself. And as they looked out at the vast expanse of the universe, at the infinite possibilities that lay before them, Damien and Bria knew that their journey was just beginning. That together, with Bowser by their side, they could face anything, overcome anything, as long as they had each other, as long as they had love. And in the end, that was all that mattered. Love, in all its forms, in all its infinite complexity and beauty. Love, the force that moves the stars and the planets, that brings hearts together and heals all wounds. Love, the very essence of the universe itself. And as Damien and Bria held each other close, their hearts beating as one, they knew that they had found the greatest love of all, a love that would last forever, that would shine brighter than the stars themselves, a love that would guide them home, always.